When we first moved into our house, it looked like this. These photos were taken on the day that we moved in, and while it was already a really lovely family home, it wasn't our style, and we bought it with the intention of renovating it from top to bottom. And that is what we have been doing over the last 3 years. We have done a lot to the house. There's still things to do, there's still rooms that we haven't done, but on the whole we are transforming it into a family home that we all love. And I really wanted to do a video talking all about the best things we have done in terms of our renovations. So the things that we couldn't live without and the things that really have benefited us, whether that's things that we've bought or things that we've done. I saw my friend Emily do this video. I will link to her video below if you'd like to go and watch it. And I just thought it was a really nice idea because I get a lot of questions about renovations, things that I wish I'd done differently. So after this video, I'm also going to do a video on things that we wish we'd done differently in terms of our renovations and things that we're not so keen on that we've done. But this video is going to be 10 things that I'm really pleased that we did renovations wise and things that I really feel have transformed our home. So I'm just going to get started. They are in no particular order whatsoever, but I'm just going to talk about the 10 things that I really feel have transformed our family home. So first up, number one, like I said, this is in no particular order, but is artificial grass. So we put our artificial grass down in October 2018. We'd also previously had artificial grass in our old house that we'd also had installed, and I know I'm definitely starting on a little bit of a love-hate one. I know some people really don't like artificial grass, and I can completely understand that because obviously it's not nature, it's not real grass, but it is just so practical for at this stage in our lives. We have 3 young children. They are all absolutely football mad and they are out there constantly playing football. My eldest especially, she would be out there every single day of the year if she could. She doesn't care about the weather, she will go out all the time. And so artificial grass is really good because it means she can play out there all year round. We don't have to worry about it getting waterlogged, we don't have to worry about the grass getting damaged, we don't have to worry about mud and grass and everything else being traipsed back into the house. It is just so practical, and I definitely understand that it's not for everybody, but just for the style of our house, the size of our garden, it is just really good. If I had a much bigger garden or a landscape garden, I probably wouldn't use it, to be honest, but it is just perfect for our garden now, and without a doubt it's probably one of the best things that we've done to our home. It just means that our garden can almost be an extension of outside. It means that it's usable all year round, and it's just absolutely brilliant. Next up, number 2 is hard flooring. So when we first moved into our house, it was a mixture of flooring downstairs, and we decided to put wood flooring all the way through. We actually put Carndean flooring down, which again we'd had in our previous house. It's just really practical for with children. So I think it looks like wood. I think if you got really closely, you'd know that it wasn't wood, because real wood obviously has a real sort of certain kind of distinct feel to it. But you really can't tell, and it's really good because it is like a vinyl, so they glue it down. I think they glue it down with like a hot gun, I'm not 100% sure, but basically you can get them off. So for example, if you did damage one of the panels, they can get them off and they can put another panel down in its place. So next up, number 3 is our conservatory. And now this obviously isn't a mini renovation project, it's obviously quite a big one. It's not something that you do overnight, but it has by far been the thing that has really transformed our home into more of a family home, more of a usable space. So when we moved in, the existing conservatory was one of the old-fashioned conservatories that you get where it's got PVC, so it got really, really hot in the summer and it got really, really cold in the winter. And we kind of decided that we would literally do that as the very first project that we did. So we kept some money back from our existing house sale. As a little bit of a mini background, we had a house for 8 years years before, and my husband also had a house in Leeds that he owned before that for a few years as well. So he has been a homeowner for quite a long time. So we had some equity built up in our house, and we decided to do this conservatory pretty much straight away. So our kind of vision from the room was to create a really modern glass kind of space that really felt like it was part of the house. So we knocked down the existing internal doors that kind of really made it feel separate, and we made it into a big open plan area. And it's now an area where our kids chill and watch TV. We sit in there in the evenings and watch TV, and it is just such a lovely space. It's got big bifold doors, which means that it kind of opens out onto the garden, and it's by far, well, probably my second favourite room in the house. It really has just made the house flow together more. It really has kind of made it feel really open and really light and really airy. I love all the glass on it, and it's just definitely one of the best things that we ever did. With the old conservatory, we obviously would have used it and it would have been brilliant, but it definitely wasn't as usable and kind of such a good space as this one is now. So we are so pleased that we did it. So next up, number 4, is a little bit of a smaller renovation project, but that is painting the whole house white. So when we moved in, there was a real kind of different kind of set of wall colours and stuff on each of the walls. So for example, in some of the rooms there was wallpaper. There was a really distinctive floral wallpaper in the living room. There was wallpaper upstairs in one of the bedrooms. One of the bedrooms was painted a bright red. One of them was painted like, I don't even know, like a sort of funny kind of green colour. Some of them were, well, a lot of them were painted like a magnolia colour, and that is somebody else's style. I'm not knocking it at all, but it wasn't our style. So we set about painting the whole house white. So we painted everything white, so from the floors to the ceilings, sorry, not the floors, but the skirting boards, the ceilings, the woodwork, the radiators, the walls, and we just painted it all a really bright white. It was just a crown emulsion. It was nothing particularly fancy, just a strong crown emulsion, and that's what we've continued to use throughout the whole house in other rooms that we've renovated. And it just meant that firstly it felt cleaner, it felt brighter, it felt more like ours because it was like our stamp on it, even though if it was white, if that makes sense. And it just generally made the house feel a lot brighter. And then from there, it meant that we could then start to plan rooms. So as we've gone along, we have added feature walls. So for example, there's a feature wall behind me, which is warm pewter by Dulux, because I get a lot of questions about that. This is our bedroom. And then also we did wallpaper in my girls' room. We painted our playroom a feature wall colour, and we have also painted our downstairs living room a feature wall colour as well. It used to be Hague Blue by Farrow & Ball, which is what we painted it, and we've recently changed it to Nature's Metropolis by Valspar. And what I love about painting the whole house a white base coat is it means that you can then work with different things. So for example, we can instantly change the look of a room just by painting one wall. So for example, recently when we did our living room, we managed to completely transform the look and the feel of the room just by painting a feature wall, because the rest of the walls are white. So that's something that I really recommend doing. It just meant that we can now add our own stamp on it as we go along. So the next thing is wardrobes and storage. So when we first moved into our house, we knew that we wanted to get fitted wardrobes for a couple of the rooms. So we wanted to get them for our girls' room. We also wanted to get some sort of wardrobe storage in our playroom / spare room. And we also wanted to sort out the wardrobes in our room because we had fitted wardrobes in there, but we didn't like the doors. And we also needed to get a wardrobe for my son's room as well. So when we first moved in, after a month or so of being there, we got one of these well-known nationwide fitted wardrobe companies to come and give us a quote. I'm not going to name or shame them because they were really nice. I'm sure they're brilliant and I'm sure some people can afford them, but we were just so shocked by the quote of these fitted wardrobes. There was no way we could justify paying it. So instead of going down the fitted wardrobe route, we actually just went to IKEA, and we ended up buying some IKEA Pax wardrobes for our girls' room and my son's room, and they are absolutely brilliant. They were a fraction of the price that this wardrobe company had quoted us for. You can get them in all different sizes. Ours nearly fits to the edge of our girls' wall, so it's perfect. And you can get them in all sorts of different configurations, so you can change the doors on them, you can change the handles. We ended up just going for white matte doors with a push kind of close, like push close mechanism rather than a handle, and then you can completely configure the inside of them to whatever you want them to be. And then when it came to the playroom storage, it was very similar. We also got a company to quote us for, well, the same company to quote us for wardrobes in there to hide their storage. And then we had a kind of change of heart, and we decided that we wanted to go for more of a display looking thing. So rather than have wardrobes, we wanted to have a place where they could put their toys on and just make it a little bit more colourful because it was a playroom. And so in the end we went for the IKEA Besta units, and again really similar to the Pax wardrobes, you can completely configure them how you want. So you can have different handles, different doors, the insides can be shelves, they can be drawers. They're absolutely brilliant, and so that is what we ended up going for. And like I said, they were a fraction of the price of the fitted wardrobes, and I'm so glad that we went down that route rather than going down the fitted wardrobe route. Next up, talking about storage, one thing that I really love about our home that we've done renovation-wise is that we have used scaffolding shelves in a couple of places. So we've used them in our dining room, we had them fit to size, and we put them in this little alcove, and then we've also used them in our kitchen as well. And what I love about them is they are really cheap to do. All you need to do is go to your local timbers merchant or builders merchant, and they have loads of wood lying around. If you give them the measurements, they will generally cut it to size for you. And then all we did was we sanded down the wood a little bit, and then we gave it a whitewash of paint colour. So literally just painted it ever so slightly white, so it still showed kind of some of the rustic elements of the wood coming through. I'm a massive fan of open shelving. I know again it's not for everyone, but I love having things on display. I just think it really sort of styles a room, and I really love them. So the last few things are all kind of in relation to our kitchen. This is the last big project that we did, so it kind of makes sense that it's the one that's still kind of fresh in my mind in terms of renovations. So if you are a kind of long-time follower, you will know this, but if you're not, in September last year, we started on a big, massive kind of kitchen renovation, and we changed quite a bit of the layout of the downstairs of our house. So we converted our garage, and we also knocked down our existing utility room in our kitchen and made a bigger kitchen, and then took space from the garage conversion to make a new internal utility room and also a snug room as well. And I will link to the playlist if you'd like to watch those, because I did weekly diaries, but a lot of the things I'm going to talk about now are in relation to that, because I guess it was our last project and it's the one that's sort of still fresh in my mind. So next up is our kitchen island. Now our kitchen island is massive, and I get people on Instagram at least a couple of times a week say, can I just ask you for the measurements of your kitchen island, because it is really big. The reason that we went for a big kitchen island is, firstly, one of the main requirements I had for our kitchen was that I just wanted a kitchen island. I love them. I love the fact that you can have all the family sort of leaning around it. I love the fact that it's a really social space because we put our hob on there, and I just love it. I had visions of the kids sitting there doing drawing or doing their homework while one of us cooked, and that's definitely been what's happened. It's not necessarily always as idyllic as I think it is in my head, but it has been really good. So we decided to go for a really large kitchen island, and the reason for that is because we are a family of 5 and we wanted to have 5 stools. Often, because there are 5 stools, we are all sort of sat in a line, so sometimes one of us will move our kind of stool round so we're not all kind of in a line while we're eating. But we all sit in there so much. In fact, we sit in there more than I ever thought we would. Like, people just constantly sitting there. So I love it. It's such a social space. So next up, kind of on the lines of the kitchen island, because it's actually situated on the island, is our induction hob. We were all set to get a gas hob. That was just what we'd both used previously in all our different homes, whether they were bought homes or rented. We've only ever really used gas hobs. So that was what we were going to go for. And then the guy who we got our kitchen from was like, why don't you look into induction, because I've got induction, I've recently had it installed and I love it. And I didn't really know much about induction. In all honesty, I thought that they weren't supposed to be that good. And then the more we looked into it, the more we thought, okay, let's try an induction hob. And I am so glad that we did. Like, I love cooking on this induction hob. So firstly, it looks really smart. It's obviously on the island. It's really easy to clean. You really don't have to worry about it. Just a couple of squirts of whatever whatever you've got, like cleaner wise, and then just a wipe down and it's clean. It's really easy, so it's much easier to clean than a gas hob. It's also a lot safer because the rings never get really hot, so even when it's at its hottest you could still, I mean I don't recommend it, but you could still kind of just touch down on it. So it's really practical with the kids, especially because it is on the kitchen island. We wanted something that was safe for them, and it cools down really quickly as well. So from a safety point of view, it's absolutely brilliant, and it also boils water really quickly. It's got a boost on there as well, which makes it kind of boil it a little bit quicker as well, and I just really love cooking on it. Next up, in our kitchen again, I think it is just because our kitchen is kind of the one room that we really have designed from start to finish ourselves, if that makes sense. One big thing that I absolutely love is our pantry cupboard. So it's not a pantry cupboard. There are some that I've seen on Pinterest that are like incredible pantry cupboards, but considering our kitchen isn't a bespoke kitchen, it's just a cupboard. It's got loads of drawers in it. It's got loads of space at the top for all your different jars and things. And then what we did is we put electricity into it, so we can put our blender in there, our toaster in there, and our coffee machine. We were advised not to have our kettle in there because of the steam, but coffee machine is fine, blender is fine, and toaster is fine as long as you leave the doors open. So I love it. It means that a lot of our utensils are hidden away, and it's just absolutely brilliant. And then finally, the last thing is we, like I said, converted our garage in order to make a utility room and a snug, and neither of those rooms are completely finished yet. But I really love one thing about our utility room, which I would definitely recommend to people, especially if you've got kids and pets and things. So in our utility room is a bit of a funny space because it's now obviously an internal space. So there's no windows, there's no light, but it is a perfect room for what we need it for, which is washing, putting cleaning products in and washing the dog. So our dog, one thing that we got for it was a extendable tap, but this tap has an extendable bit, which means that you can really get into washing the dog. So our dog is kind of going to be quite large. He does still fit in the utility room sink. I don't think he's going to grow enough that he won't fit in it, if that makes sense. But it is hard, obviously, if you've just got a small sink and a dog and you're trying to kind of wash him in the sink. So this extendable tap is absolutely brilliant because it means you can really kind of pull it around and get to kind of places on him that you wouldn't be able to get to otherwise. It's also really handy for washing like football boots and all that kind of thing. So I absolutely love it. So that's one thing that I'm really glad that we did when we were doing our renovations. And that is it. That is my 10 things that I love about our house renovations. That's the 10 best things that we have done in our home. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. Please do give it a thumbs up if you did, and I can definitely make more kind of renovations and interior content. Like I said, I am going to do the video which are the things that I wish we'd done differently and the things that I'm not so keen on in terms of our renovations. So I will be doing that video really soon. And thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.